All right. Hey, everybody. Whoops. Hi, everybody. It's Tara Green here. I went to go live just in case there's some time differential here because, yeah, see, it says April 1st AEAD, and I am in Sedona, Arizona. So I'm going to wait a few minutes for people to come on and let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm trying to see if I can see myself. It says it's live now. There I go. All right, I can see myself. Kind of a weird thing there. Hi, Josh. So please come on and say hi and let me know where you're from as well. Okay. Okay, there's a bit of a loop here, so I guess I'm not going to keep doing that. Like a big time warp. Okay, so I'll just wait a few minutes for people to come on. Hi, everybody. I am Tara Green of Agent 129. I'm in Sedona, Arizona right now. So there's extra special energies coming through here today, so everybody comes to watch this. The energy is very amplified. Sorry, I'm going to turn off my phone there, so that's going to interfere. So the energy is very amped up in Sedona, Arizona. Hi, Andre. My friend Andre's there. And yeah, I've been keeping tabs. They had big winter storm, big frozen storm in Peterborough, Ontario. A lot of people lost power. Lots of trees came down. So sending you blessings up there in Ontario, sort of northeast Ontario there. Barrie apparently in Aurelia too. So sending everybody energy. Again, I'm going to wait a minute before everybody comes on here. And I think it's probably because I went live because I wasn't sure. Hi, Andre. I wasn't sure, but the time zone changed because I'm now in Pacific Daylight Time. It is just 5:02 p.m. here in Sedona, and it's 8:02 up in Toronto, and it's the next day. It's Greenwich Mean Time. It's already April Fool's Day if you're down under. Okay. So again, I'm still going to wait a few more minutes before some people come on here. So it is almost April, okay, and we've had our first day of Neptune in Aries. So I can see your comments here, so please interact with me. How was the first day of Neptune in Aries in this new era that nobody alive has ever seen before, right? Watch your dreams, pay very close attention to your dreams to see how they change because we've moved from being in a watery Pisces, Neptunian element for the last since 2011, right? And now we're in fire. We're on fire in our dreams. And so you can expect, I have to tell you a little funny story here before I get started while other people come on. I went to the creek today, to Oak Creek with a friend of mine, and I had put my hat down. I have this new, I'm a hat person. Here we go. I have this new Colombian hat that I got. Sorry, that's backwards. The new Colombian hat that I got because you have to have a sun hat here in Sedona. And I found this in a fancy kind of thrift store, and I love it. But anyway, I put my hat down for a minute to take this video of my friend, and then I had wanted to leave it in the truck. I didn't even want to bring it with me, but she had said bring it with me, and I'm not blaming her or anything. But anyway, after I shot this video, I noticed that the hat was gone, and I really love this hat, and it is kind of a one-of-a-kind handmade hat. So I kind of got all upset. I'm going, oh no, I lost my hat. I'm going to need my hat. And she was going, just let it go. Very Neptunian. Just let it go. But I'm going, no, no, no. In true Aries fashion, I'm not going to let that hat go. So we went downstream. We walked by the creek. She could see it more than I could, but the hat had gone sort of upside down in the water down the creek. And it was floating along sort of on the other side there. And there was another waterfall coming up. So I quickly took off my shoes and socks. Luckily, I was wearing sandals, water shoes, and I jumped in the water, and I had a walking stick so I didn't fall because the stream is pretty brisk into those Pisces waters there. And I grabbed the hat, and I was so proud of myself, right, that I didn't let that go. So it's a metaphor. Hold on to your hats, people, and stay very determined, So the metaphor for this age is very Aryan. Don't let go of your dreams. Hang on to your hats. Hold on to what you want. Just go for it. That's very adventurous. I can't believe I just jumped into that creek up to my thighs, actually. And then I got to dry off in the sun. But anyway, okay, that's my real story. So real metaphorical, spiritual things are going to happen to you. Okay, that's my sense of it. All right. So tomorrow, April Fool's Day. Okay. In the tarot, the Fool is 0. It is the beginning of the tarot deck. It's also the end of the tarot deck at 0 and 22. a master number. So the first time you get a tarot reading, you're considered to be embodying the Fool. So if you haven't been here before, I'm welcoming you. I'm Agent 129 of the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. Usually I'm in Toronto, Canada, but right now I'm in Sedona. I'll still be here till the end of the month. So I'm going to give you a bit of highlights. This is how this works. I'm going to give you some highlights about all the astrology energies, and then I'm going to pull the tarot cards. Now, you have survived, if you're here, you survived Neptune shifting gears into Aries and the eclipse. You know, it's bang, bang, thank you, ma'am, one thing after another. So it's been kind of exhausting because there's still all those planets in Pisces, and Mercury's retrograde, and Venus is still retrograde. But April, things start to turn around. So you got to hold on there a bit. So I'm going to give you the preview first. April the 7th, Mercury stations direct. So things should be able, communications-wise, to move ahead. There's a full moon April 12th at 23 degrees of Libra, so highlighting social and Libran things. Venus stations direct after 42 days on April the 12th at 24 degrees of Pisces. And then from April the 12th until May the 4th, when Pluto turns retrograde, all the planets are direct, right, for 22 days. So, sorry, I've got to turn my phone off there. For 22 days. So that's a good time. So 3 weeks plus a day, go for it, especially as that fiery energy starts to pump us up there, right? I did a workshop. Actually, it's probably online if you want to see it. I did a workshop yesterday for Magicus University talking about Neptune and Aries. You can go to their website and watch that for free. Mars re-enters Leo April the 18th. On April 27th, there's a new moon at 7 degrees of Taurus. So, okay, so today's the last day before we get to be complete fools tomorrow, at least in this time zone. But happy April Fool's Day down under. On April the 4th, it's kind of a wildish day because Saturn, the planet of reality, hi from Sacramento, Saturn, the planet of reality, kind of unreal in Pisces, though we have to admit, sextiles, a nice positive aspect. Saturn sextile, Saturn sextiles what? Saturn sextiles Uranus, obviously. 9:21 a.m. PDT, 12:21 p.m. EDT, 4:21 p.m. GMT. I have to go through all these time zones because Cosmic Intelligence Agency is in Melbourne, Australia, centered in Melbourne, Australia. So GMT is the kind of universal time. Uranus and Mars have a sextile at 4:05 p.m. PDT, 7:05 p.m. EDT, and 11:05 p.m. GMT. And Mars and Saturn have a trine. So that's very easy aspect day. So you want to take advantage of it when the planets are in these 60-degree, 120-degree angles. They're very positive. So Mars trine Saturn, even though, you know, again, there's still all this water, 6:08 p.m. PDT, 9:08 p.m. EDT, April the 5th at 1:08 p.m. GMT. And April the 6th is a very lucky day for fire signs when the sun sextiles Jupiter. And so that's at, yeah, because the sun sextile Jupiter. Does that make sense? Something tells me this doesn't make any sense. Hold on a second. April the 6th. Let's just check this out. Am I doing this wrong? April the 6th. Where am I? Hold on a second. Nope. Sun sextiles Jupiter. I made a mistake. Okay. I didn't think that was right. Okay. Sun sextiles Jupiter. Yes. Okay. 2:44 a.m. PDT, 5:44 a.m. EDT, 9:44 a.m. GMT. Jupiter, you know, the great benefic, good for Aries and Geminis, of course, or if you want to promote some communications, even though you've got to remember while Mercury's still retrograde, you're not really communicating anything very much. Venus trines Mars. That's very nice and romantic. And yes, old lovers can come back because Venus is still retrograde. 5:13 a.m. PDT, 8:13 a.m. EDT, 12:13 p.m. GMT. And then finally, April the 7th, Venus retrograde conjunct Saturn. So that is a very serious GameStop is the word that's coming to me, karmic energy at 25 degrees Pisces, Venus conjunct Saturn. So you're going to make some important creative, sign a contract, even though it's retrograde, or put out some intentions for love, for beauty, for harmony, for issues around with your father or even family, I would say, or compassion, like the buck stops here. That's really Saturn in Pisces. Okay, no more denial, no more projection. So it could be interesting to watch what goes on in the world that day. That's at 4:01 a.m. PDT, 7:01 a.m. EDT, 11:01 a.m. GMT, and then Mercury stations direct, 26 degrees, 50 minutes Pisces at 4:08 a.m. PDT, 7:08 a.m. EDT, 11:08 a.m. GMT, and Venus sextiles Uranus also on that day. Again, in PDT, 9:48 p.m. So again, Uranus sextiles means things are kind of chaotic. With Venus, there can be good for the crypto market, which has kind of been sitting for a while, but that can start to move it forward. But all precious metals, even which Venus rules, especially copper, that's her metal. All right, on the 8th, Venus sextiles Uranus at 12:48 a.m. EDT, 4:48 a.m. GMT. And on the 12th, the Sun conjuncts Chiron. Now, this happens only once a year at 22 degrees plus minutes at 9 a.m. PDT, 12 p.m. EDT, 4 p.m. GMT. So it can be very painful, but it can be good because it brings old wounds out from the shadows into the light. Okay, on the 12th, full moon in Libra. That happens at 5:22 p.m. PDT, 8:22 p.m. EDT. On the 13th, at 12:33 p.m. GMT. And finally, Venus stations direct after her 42-day journey. She's already apparently visible in the sky. Her heliacal rising before the sun is a very auspicious thing for all traditional cultures who worship Venus. So if you get to see her, it depends on where you are in the earth, but she should be visible now as the morning star. That's at 6:02 p.m. PDT, 9:02 p.m. EDT, April 13th at 1:03 a.m. GMT. But Venus is going to take until May the 16th to bypass her original retrograde station. So even though she's stationing direct, we're still covering that shadow retrograde period. On the 15th, Mercury enters Aries. So we start to build up this firepower, Mercury in Aries. So things start to move ahead quite quickly here, 11:25 p.m. PDT on the 16th at 2:25 a.m. EDT at 6:25 a.m. GMT. So get your brain all fired up, zoom, 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 like Aries, fast cars, thinking about moving, thinking about taking action, no more muddling it around like Pisces. And then on the 17th, Mars re-enters Leo again. So more firepower here. 9:21 p.m. PDT. High from North Borneo. Okay, great. On the 18th, that aspect, Mars re-entering Leo, 12:21 a.m. EDT, 4:21 a.m. GMT. Now, just to give you a sense of what's going on here, Mars first entered Leo on November the 4th, 2024, a day before Election Day in the US. We're not going to get into the politics, but it's kind of hearkening us back to what was going on in your life November the 4th, 2024. So think back about that because it is a deja vu here. Mars turned retrograde December the 6th, 7th at 10 degrees Leo. And we entered 2025 with Mars retrograde, kind of like a breach birth. Mars stationed direct on February 23rd, but Mars will also take until May the 10th, until it gets back to its retrograde station and moves forward. On the 19th, Taurus season begins at 12:56 p.m. PDT, 3:56 p.m. EDT, 7:56 p.m. GMT. On the 19th, Mars trines Neptune at 0 Aries again. So big moving forward energy here. Leo, Aries, Sagittarius too. All the fire signs get a big boost there. 3:53 p.m. PDT, 6:53 p.m. EDT, 11:53 p.m. GMT. And then on the 20th, Venus sextiles Uranus again. So expect quirky things in love. Again, Uranus rules the crypto market. It rules AI. Venus rules the stock market in a sense, rules all valuables, love. So expect some quirky, kinky, whatever, unexpected, chaotic energies. It can also be earthquakes. And especially with all the huge solar flares that are happening, they are always harbingers of earthquakes as well. And sending blessings to everybody in Myanmar and former Burma there and in Thailand. So that's at 3:53 p.m. PDT, 6:53 p.m. EDT, 11:53 p.m. GMT. And on Mercury also sextiles Pluto also on that day. So, Mercury, Pluto, again, you're delving into the depths of the underworld. It's good for writing. It's good for therapy. 2:40 p.m. PDT, 5:40 p.m. EDT, 9:40 p.m. GMT. And the Sun squares Mars. April 20th is a big day. So Sun square Mars is again, battling, you know what I mean? But Taurus, Leo, things are very fixed signs, they don't want to give up. Pluto's in Aquarius, right? Again, crypto market, unusual, unexpected communications, 2:40 p.m. PDT, 5:40 p.m. EDT, 9:40 p.m. GMT, and then the Sun squares Mars, which happens, twice a year in different signs, but it's irritable, so people could be cranky and impatient. 6:34 p.m. PDT, 9:34 p.m. EDT, April 21st at 1:34 a.m. GMT. And then on April 24th, Venus conjunct Saturn. Again, Sirius, 5:02 p.m. PDT, 8:02 p.m. EDT, April the 25th at 12:02 a.m. GMT. And then the 26th, Mars opposes Pluto. Now, this is a heavy aspect, so you got to think overall. We're building up to literally firepower. Mars opposite Pluto is dangerous. That is war. And I know there's things heating up in the news with Iran and in Europe fighting Russia. So this could be a very dangerous day. So 6:05 p.m. PDT, 9:05 p.m. EDT, April 27th at 1:05 a.m. GMT. I would have things stored up, actually. That feels pretty heavy to me, especially with all this firepower. We're going into this fire and air age, not yet, but soon. April 27th, the new moon at 7 degrees of Taurus. You want to enjoy your life. You want to be embodied. You want to indulge your senses. Eat as much chocolate as you want. 12:31 p.m. PDT, 3:31 p.m. EDT, 7:31 p.m. GMT. Almost finished. April the 30th, Venus finally enters Aries again. So again, get your heart racing, get things beating, get lots of fire by the end of April. Still continuing even more. 10:16 a.m. PDT, 1:16 p.m. EDT, 5:16 p.m. GMT. And where there's fire, there's smoke, and smoke, there's fire. So Venus was last in Aries, again, February the 4th. And Venus will take until May the 15th or the 16th to get back to a retrograde turning point at 10 degrees of Aries. So again, we want to think back all of these kind of big turning points. Okay, so now I don't have any smudge here, so you're going to get virtually smudged by the energies of Sedona. So I'm sending you all that. And I've got my special crystal here, my Herkimer diamond crystal that I use. So I'm going to shuffle the cards, and I'm going to start with Aries. So of course everybody knows their sun sign, but if you know your rising, your moon sign, if you know any whatever other planets you want to use for guidance, your Mercury, your Venus, your Mars, your Saturn, etc. Okay, so Aries. So Aries is going to get lots of energy. So for all of you Aries, you have to get used to for the next till 20 for the next 14 years till 2039. Get used to being a spiritual warrior. I mean, there's many different takes on this. Some people say it's the dissolving of individuality, because Aries is the sign of I am, right? Which in the Bible, God said, I am that I am. So, okay, so Aries, here's some new advice for you with Neptune in Aries, and you get the death card. Okay, so the old self, Aries, the old warrior is going to die. Okay, there's a big spiritual, emotional transformation that's going to go on. Mars also rules Scorpio, right? Mars rules Aries, rules Scorpio. So this is very much in sync. So you've got to go deeper, Aries. I know you're always kind of like rushing ahead. Aries are known for being kind of foolhardy. Speaking of April Fool's Day, is just rushing in and not looking and just jumping off that cliff like the fool does, which can be great, on some level. But you have to go deeper. You have to dig into your feelings. You have to ask yourself what's worth fighting for. Like this is about life and death. And Aries represents life. It's the first sign of the zodiac, right? So can be major change in terms of your finances. Neptune rules debt. It can be seeing what's going on deeper below the surface. This is Scorpio, laser vision, right? So major changes in your life, Aries, or wherever you have, any planets in Aries, rising signs, nodes, whatever, okay? Get ready to make some big, deep changes. Yes, so finance can be inheritance, actually, as well. Getting money from other people. So maybe you have a big cause, a spiritual warrior cause. You want to get support from other people. This could be the card to do it under. All right. So Taurus. Let's do Taurus here. All right. So Taurus. You get the Chariot here. So the number 7 is Cancer energy. And Taurus and Cancer are in a positive, supportive sextile. They're 60 degrees apart. It's earth and water. Earth and water work together well. But things could be very up and down for you, Taurus. You could feel like, you're bouncing around on that sea, I don't know where I'm going. I'm kind of lost. There could be old family issues coming up, deep emotions from childhood, maybe discovering some unexpected memories there, also taking care of your mother or family members or yourself. Tauruses love to be very comfortable in their home. So this might be a good time to redecorate your home because you got to remember all the aesthetics are changing now. Neptune is like the higher octave of Venus. So all aesthetics are changing, right? So redecorate your home. It could be time to take a short journey. This is a Cancer, you're going to get in your car. Aries rules cars. Also the need for spiritual protection. So Tauruses, are very grounded, very psychic in their own earthy way. So you want to make sure you have some protection if you feel like things are too intense out there. We all know the political divides and the intensity going on in the world. So make sure you protect yourself, protect your family, protect what's most emotionally valuable to you, and understand that there's the law of cycles. So, when things go down, if you start to feel depressed or overwhelmed by the state of the world, just remember you have to kind of go down and dig in before you can come out again. Okay? All right. And think about dolphins. Think about the dolphins. All right. Gemini. Okay, so Gemini, this is supposedly your best year in 12. You've got some more time to go until the beginning of June when Jupiter leaves Gemini. So let's see what we got here. So, Neptune in Aries, if you're born right in the beginning of Gemini, it's in a sextile to you. That's a positive. So dream some new dreams, Gemini. Now you get the Hermit here, the number 9. And the Hermit, we're under a Hermit year this year. 2025 reduces to the number 9. And of course, Virgo and Gemini are both ruled by Mercury. So you are affected more by Mercury retrogrades than the other signs, except for Virgo. So this is a time to take stock, to take inventory, to go within, to really sit and reflect. You have to complete some lessons, everybody this year in general, but right now, this is what the Hermit is telling you, the inner wisdom. Tune into your inner wisdom. It's Virgo-like, it's earthy, it's grounded. Listen to your body. The body never lies, Gemini. I know you're in your head a lot, especially with Jupiter and Gemini this year. But listen to your body, listen to your gut. It may be time to change your diet. Again, because remember, Neptune is going to start to activate in an easy aspect. What is it I really want? What do I want to create here? What are my new dreams? So you have to bring an end to certain things before you can move on, but I would say this is a good time to listen to your gut instincts. And you may be having some irritability with your gut as well, so good time to change your diet. All right, so now we're on Cancer. All right, so Cancerians, if you're a water sign and having Neptune and Pisces for all these years, just that shift in elements might feel a bit shocking to you, I would say. Depending on how sensitive you are. And all the water signs are pretty sensitive. So you get the Devil card here, number 15. So it is Capricorn energy. It is the opposite or the shadow side of Cancer. So there can be difficulty in work, standing up to a boss, confronting your own fear. The Devil is a very complicated, like all the tarot cards are, and kind of misunderstood card as well. So the Devil represents fear and separation. So where do you feel alone or separated or isolated? The challenge, the Devil is always going to try to seduce you into selling your soul to the Devil for some material pleasure, right? So Cancers, their pleasure is always family, emotions. You might feel stuck. You might be angry. Again, this is your shadow side where you're not really speaking your truth, speaking your feelings, right? And it has to do with your long-term goals as well, Capricorn. This could be a big shift in what do I really want? What's worth me fighting and putting all this energy out for? Again, father issues. It can be some father issues with Cancer or any kind of patriarchal. You may be wanting to get out there and fight the patriarchy. That's a big thing these days. And stand your ground, and also to look at how much of this is projection, because that's what the Capricorn Devil is all about. And, if you're going through difficulty in your relationship, the sign of the Devil here indicates that what you're so pissed off about in your partner is really a shadow side of yourself. I know that's hard to swallow, Cancer, but you need to look at that, and what's really scaring you deep down. What is the scariest thing that you need to confront? Okay. All right. So now we're on to Leo. Okay. So Leos, now of course all the fire signs, you're going to be in your element for quite a while here. So Leo, you get the Lovers. Okay. So again, with Neptune in Aries, it's trining Leos right at the beginning of Leo right now. So there could be a new love affair, could be a new relationship, could be an extra relationship because it's Gemini, it's the Lovers. It's, well, I'm going to have 2 affairs or 2 lovers or do 2 things, you know. So this is Leo energy though. So it's also ultimately about you loving yourself. Leos don't, on the surface, have a problem with that. Now the question is, do they really love themselves deep down? Or Leos, do you really love yourself deep down? That's the question I would say to ask yourself right now. And also this shifting in your dreams. You know, what is your ideal relationship? Neptune is ideals. It's imagination, it's creativity, it's creative. All artists channel through Neptune. So for a lot of Leos, you know, you're actors, you're actresses, you like the drama. This can be a brand new act for you, you know, whatever stage you're at. So, you know, also you want to write a screenplay, you want to write some dialogue. This is good for you because you can just channel all that creative energy, right? And to keep things playful and kind of light, that's Gemini. So again, everything's kind of new again. Again, with the planet still retrograde, you may want to go back and resuscitate some old script, idea, play, whatever, and, you know, try to hawk it to Netflix or Prime or whatever, you know, so go for it. Okay. All right, so Virgo. So Virgo, let's see what you got here. Now, so Aries and Virgo are in a 150-degree angle to each other, so they don't kind of see each other. So for Virgos, you have to ask yourself, what's in my blind spot? There's a new dream there, a new action. Now you get the Hierophant here. So the Hierophant, the number 5, has to do with standing in your truth, Virgo. So if you feel there's an issue or a cause or some kind of belief that you feel in your gut is really important to you, you know, the number 5 symbolizes Venus in her 5-pointed star point. She just made one not that long ago. So what is your values? You know, it's Taurus energy. So maybe you need to stand up and ask for more money. Maybe you need to confront a bully, a boss, somebody who's a superior to you, and don't feel like you're, you know, like David and Goliath. Your voice can have a lot of strength when you're really empowered, Virgo. So I would say, especially now, we've got to remember Saturn's also in Pisces. So for those of you who are born in the last 10 days of Pisces, Saturn is there sort of testing you right now too. But the number 5, the Hierophant, has to do with embodied wisdom, knowledge. It's very feminine. It's standing up for feminine truths, which is very different than masculine patriarchal truth in the world. And it could be bringing in more value. You know, Virgos, it's all about work and health, and maybe you need to stand up to some kind of oppressive system and speak your truth in whatever form that takes. Could be work, again, health, whatever community issues that you're involved in. Okay. All right. So Libra. Okay. So there will be a full moon in your sign. So Libra. And, you know, fire and air signs are also, they work very well together. You know, they're both considered to be active elements. Okay, so Libra. You get the card that's traditionally, you can see it's Leo here, Strength. In this deck, it's number 11. In some decks, it's 8. So this Libra, calling, I said Leo because it's, you know, Leo is the lion, strength. Where is your heart? You know, what is your desire? What is your passion, especially with all this fire coming in? You know, maybe there's a new passion, a new passionate affair, a new sense of strength and purpose and power and will and creativity and, you know, all kinds of great, exciting things. You know, the thing about fire is it's very exciting, it's active, it moves, you know. It's not necessarily substantial. This is the other thing about Neptune and Aries. Is this a real fire? You know, what kind of a fire is it? It's a spiritual fire, ultimately. So again, you could be getting really fired up in a new way about some cause, some belief system. In this deck, it shows the woman riding the lion, the animal instincts, and holding up the Holy Grail. So again, you have to have a cause that you really believe in and uphold. And Leo rules the heart. What is your heart's strongest desire that trumps everything else, right? Okay, so you could also meet very literally, it could be a strong Leo, a lot of drama coming into your life with all this fire. So, you want to be strong enough to deal with it. Okay, so now we're on to Scorpio. All right, so Scorpios. Okay, because Neptune is in Aries, and really, you and Aries have a lot in common with Mars, so you have to watch where Mars is. This is the interesting thing about Neptune and Pisces, because Mars moves very quickly. The ruler of Aries is Mars, so, things are going to be very shifting, changing. All right, so Scorpio, you get the Hangman, number 12 here. Now, this card, there are 3 what they call major maternal cards in the tarot. This is one of them. The Fool is one, this is one, the number 20, Judgment Day traditionally is another one. And they are not traditionally tied to the transpersonal or outer planets, but this one is clearly a Pisces energy. So Scorpio, this is about letting go, which is very hard for Scorpios to do and all fixed signs to do because they always have a list. Trust me, I have Scorpio rising. They're obsessive. They want what they want. So in a way, the Neptune in Aries is about pushing forward, but be careful because this can be addictions and illusion and delusion and debt. And, what am I getting myself caught up in? This is about getting detangled, let's say. This is about being entangled in something. And how do I let it go? Because it's not good for me. How do I get out of this situation? And Scorpios are pretty willpowered, of course. But this might be you have to give some energy to charity, which is Neptune in Aries, being charitable in a new way, in an active way. It can also be about not being the scapegoat or blaming somebody else for getting caught in that kind of a blame game thing, and addictions, dealing with addictions, because that might really be scary, might really hang you up. So if you're feeling, I just want to mention one more thing, if you feel overwhelmed emotionally, and if you feel suicidal, then please call a suicide hotline. Don't call a psychic. Don't call an astrologer. Call a real psychic hotline. Okay. So if you can get some perspective, that would be good with Pluto and Aquarius. That would help, getting some perspective as well. Okay. So Sagittarius. Now, all the Sagittarians out there, getting pretty excited to have all this new Neptune in Aries energy. All right, so Sagittarius, you get the Magician. So the number 1 card in the tarot, the Magician, is Mercury or Thoth or Hermes. He's the mind. He's the mind shifter. He's intention. He's communication. He's consciousness itself. So Sagittarius, brand new beginning. You get to start new. It's very exciting. So whatever it is you think about, you will manifest. So be very, very conscious about what you think about. And Sagittarians think about a lot of things, right? They have a lot of interest. Yes, I know they can think they're know-it-alls. It's true. But this is where you have to start to act. This is where there's a fire being lit under your seat, right? You've got to act now, Sagittarius, okay? So get a move on, new creative project and new collaborations and lots of new ideas. So write them down, but make sure you act on them as well. All right. So now we're getting to Capricorn. All right. So Capricorn, this is squaring you. So all the cardinal signs are getting squared by Neptune and Aries. You know that Saturn will also follow Neptune into Aries, right? Jupiter is going to change into Cancer later this year, and Uranus will enter Gemini. So this is the big shift year, the preview year. Okay, so now we're at Capricorn. So this is the other card that I was mentioning, the number 20. This is the Thoth Tarot. This is not a totally traditional deck. I love this deck because it's very deep, and it does have the astrological symbols on it. So number 20 is traditionally called Judgment Day. Now, maybe there's lots of Bible thumpers and people that believe in revelations and they're pushing for, war in Israel because they believe that that will cause the Messiah to come. There are Orthodox Jews that also believe that. But anyway, with total respect for everybody's religious beliefs, Capricorn, this is a new beginning. So this is the death of the old self, the judgments on the self, and a rebirth. And spiritually, we all have to go through rebirths in our life, remembering our own birth and releasing that, living through all the feelings, letting go, and to carry on. So this is releasing yourself from judgments and a new beginning, Capricorn. So in what way have you been holding yourself back? So this could be very exciting, new business deals, new collaborations, new goals. So this is a good thing, Capricorn. You know, you always like to have lots of goals, so set some new ones. Okay, so Aquarius. So let's see what Aquarius has here. All right, Aquarius. You get the number 21, which is the world or the universe. Now, this is Saturn. Traditionally, you can see that at the bottom of the card. It says Saturn. And Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius traditionally. And I do use both rulerships because I think it's balanced and I think it's important. So Capricorn is technically a feminine, you know, there's archetypes, yin, earth, introverted sign. And Aquarius is the masculine or yang, outward moving sign of technology, of innovation, of revolution, of freedom. So Aquarius, this is very much like your sign, of course, ruled by Saturn. But this is where you may have to kind of take stock. This is always a card that you've learned, where you should figure out that you've learned your karmic lessons now, right? And again, Neptune in Aries is sextiling you, it's supportive of you. So again, finish up the old cycle. Take stock. What are the lessons that I learned through this whole period? Let's say back to 2011. You know, if you can remember that far back, it was a different world back in 2011. And how am I ready to step into the new? Okay, so conquering the world by taking responsibility that I've created everything in my universe, in my world, and then I can be ready to start anew. So this can be exciting new projects again, but finish off again, complete before you move on. Okay, and now we've got Pisces. All right, so Pisces people, you're gonna, now for all Pisces people, Neptune in Aries means you have to act. You can't be hiding out in the 12th house, in the treasure house, in the unconscious anymore. You have to come out into the light, okay? So 0 Aries, the big bang degree, you know? This is where everything gets created. It's the big initiation. It's boom, fire. All right, and you get the special card here, Pisces, which I like to call the calling card from your holy guardian angel. Now, there are different interpretations of this card. I use this deck specifically for this one card. It represents the invisible Sephiro. If you know about the tree of life that the Kabbalah is based on, which the tarot is based on, there are 10 stations, let's call them that, in the tree of life, but there's one invisible one. So this represents 11. And 11 is the master number where you already remember everything. You're an old soul. So this is like the bridge between, let's say, what we are conscious of back into the higher conscious realms. So for Pisces, this is a new opportunity for you to go into a brand new dimension or a new level. I know if you've heard, I think Pam Gregory was talking about this, and it's an old Hopi, I believe, prophecy that the earth was going to split into two, and that the people that were in fear and didn't want to look at things, didn't want to really look at themselves, they're going to be stuck in that kind of world. And the people that are open and conscious and want to create a new world and a balanced world, they're going to create their own world. And so it's kind of like a dualistic split, but it's a consciousness split. Some people call it 5D. You have to go into your heart more. But anyway, so for Pisces, your holy guardian angel is there, maybe in a new way. And maybe if you felt you've been abandoned or nobody's listening or you're hopeless, this is a card of hope, right? I always take it that for anybody who has Pisces planets here, you can use this as, if I'm feeling really lost and confused, and again, remember there's still all those planets in Pisces, listening to your inner self, taking time out to really listen deep down, or starting a new form of meditation, or starting a new form of charity, or starting a new form of compassion, or really listening to your higher self and answering only to that, right? That's the key. Now, you always have to be discerning. You always ask and question, where is this information coming from? My old teacher, Stuart Wilde, used to say, never accept anything in a dream, because he felt that was like a seduction, like the devil card. But anyway, you can also be acting now, Pisces, if you've really done your work and you're really authentic, ethical, humble, spiritual leader, if you're really experienced and you're honest, then this can be a new beginning for you as well. Okay, a new series, a new cycle for you. All right, so okay, I think I got through everybody there. So I want to wish you all the best blessings. If you want to get in touch with me at tarottarot.com, I'm going to be doing some workshops continuously during this month, just to help people. And if you need help and assistance, again, you can get in touch with me, tarottarot.com. And please join the Cosmic Intelligence Agency and read Time Lords, and there's new workshops coming up. And I want to thank Yulia again in Melbourne, Australia, and wishing you all the best blessings for April. Okay, thank you for being here. Okay, bye-bye. Till then.